built relationships and found meaning. So that became my norm. I just fell in love with studying and learning about all of this, learning about trauma in the body. And as I shared my story publicly, not even restorative justice, but just spoke up about experiencing trauma and healing from trauma, people started to reach out to me. It first started when someone asked me to lead a retreat at their center in France. That's how I began leading retreats, and just me sharing very vocally and openly on Instagram even sort of became a magnet in that way. And then like in this past year, I was already doing retreats and coaching, but in this past year, as I shared my story with Forbes and HuffPost and everything, women were reaching out to me being like, I want to reclaim my sexuality. I want to feel safe and powerful in my body. I want to transform my trauma and remember that I'm like an epic friggin' sexual priestess. So it really was like the more I put my signal and my heart and my own story and truth out there, the more I magnetized those opportunities.
That's amazing. And I'm curious, was there a particular turning point for you in your process, kind of like a breakthrough that you experienced, or was it something kind of more gradual and building?
It was definitely gradual, and I think that related to the last question you asked, purpose really helped me get through it. Like in a time when I was really low and in pain within myself, that's when writing became my salvation, because I needed an anchor that was bigger than myself to keep me here, to keep me moving forward. And I was like, this writing, my story is important because it's going to help people. And that gave me the cause to stay and to like move through that really dark point until it no longer was so extreme. But the purpose really helped me stay, and the we consciousness, the awareness of how connected we all are, and how like my story is not just my story. It's a women's story. It's all of our story. This helped me to stay and to keep going and to heal.
How beautiful. So how can other women who are experiencing shame around sexual trauma, how can they come out empowered? What would you tell them?
There's so much to it. There's really so much. And again, this is why my program is 3 months, because there's just like so many aspects of that. But I guess one of the most important things I want to say is like, despite what we've been taught, it is not something to feel shame around. And I feel like survivors of sexual trauma are carrying a really deep and needed wisdom and a capacity for empathy that holds huge healing for this planet. And just realizing that like when we break silence, when we speak up, when we reclaim pleasure within our bodies, like we are changing history. By doing that, we're shifting the collective, and we're teaching the people around us to hold women in a new way, in a more love-rooted way. So just realizing that we're not burdens, we're actually like huge wisdom keepers.
Oh my goodness, I just got chills all over my body. My hairs are just like standing straight up. Because, you know, the way the world is set up is in some ways so different from what you're expressing. What I feel is that perhaps there are a lot of women that have experienced sexual trauma, and I'm not passing judgment because I haven't experienced this myself, and I'm sure that I would be very angry if I experienced something like that. I'm sure that there's a lot of anger that has to go through your system to even reach this point of transforming that into love and to healing. But it seems that there's just a tremendous amount of really wanting to pound it in and to be angry and to beat them up and to persecute them, and it kind of turns into this like feminist anger fest, when what you're putting out is something so different. It's so refreshing. It's really how to reclaim your own sexual power, which has
Mm,
absolutely nothing to do with, like you said, that, the other person, why they did what they did. And it's really just about you and
mm,
your own process and reclaiming this amazing power that you have inside of you. So it's just so refreshing to listen to
mm.
you and to be a witness to this incredible process that you went through. So you are a blessing to this world,
Oh, thank
Marley.
you. I would love to share a reflection on what you just said, because I think that a big reason my perspective is like this is that I'm aware that it's not just like a one bad seed situation. And
Yeah.
so if we're gonna get angry about something, which we definitely deserve to be angry about this, then we can use that anger as like a force for love to rip up the whole friggin' tree rather than targeting the one fruit. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And that is like the power of the divine feminine, right? To like use our anger as a force for love.
Oh, so fantastic. So how do you think women should come together to address this issue and or create solidarity for healing? So we're really kind of already touching on this.
I love that you mentioned emotional alchemy before, and I think that is a huge part of the process. Like,
Mm,
we have emotions to move through our bodies and to move through the earth, and our grief is needed. And when we create safe, empowering space to really grieve and feel and connect with our wholeness, whether it's our joy, our pleasure, our laughter, our anger, our tears, all of it, that's when we allow the river to start flowing again, because trauma is the process of emotions being locked within us. So when we
yes.
start to connect with our feelings and allow that to flow, and we do that together and we hold each other in that, that's when we can really heal. And that's when we can come to that place of grounded clarity where we say, okay, what am I actually angry at? And then use that as a force to make change rather than as a force to destroy. And what am
Mm,
I deeply sad about? And use that as a force for caring, to be like, wow, I just care so deeply about this, and use that as purpose, right? So
hmm.
that's the gorgeousness of the alchemy.
Yes, absolutely. Agreed. So, can you tell us about your some of your online offerings? I know that you are doing some incredible things. So, if you could please tell us what it is you're up to.
Yeah, so my main program right now is the Sacred Sensual Wholeness Academy. It's a 3-month deep dive that you journey through alongside a group of women. It's a really powerful journey we take together where we reclaim the divine feminine, heal our relationship to men and the masculine, heal our relationship to voice, consent, boundary practices,
Hmm.
desire practices, really reclaiming our pleasure and cultivating love for our bodies and for intimacy. So we really go deep and high together, and it's just freaking incredible. So that's my main juice. And
Mm.
I think by the time that this is out, I'll also have a virtual summit available, which is called Collective Sensual Rising. So if
Mm.
people go to my website, marleeliss.com, they'll be able to find this free summit so that they can really connect with this magic.
What does that mean, free summit?
Yeah, so it is something people can sign up for online. It's completely free and it's virtual, of course, in COVID land.
Yep.
And it features a bunch of different speakers. So Kelsey Dara's coming on, Amber Lilly, Jungle Man, Sam Rosie, Reese, some amazing voices who are going to be sharing about all these different angles around sensuality and reclamation. So just so many thought and heart leaders coming together to share about reclaiming sensuality in different ways, and people can just sign up for this and watch and soak in the wisdom that is shared here.
Wow, that's amazing. Good for you. So, Marley, what is the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you?
Definitely, that's a really good way. Like if you sign up for the summit, then we are connected. You'll be able to find links to my Facebook group and everything through there. So going to my website to do that. And then also follow me on Instagram for sure. I share a lot of fun, dancey things and juicy resources and so much on my Instagram. It's like a hot pink vortex of amazingness. So
totally.
go follow me there.
I've fallen in love with your Instagram.
Thank you. I have a lot of fun with it.
I can tell, the way that you dance is just full of like vibe and joy and happiness and and like, it's just awesome. So definitely check out Marlee's Instagram. What is your Instagram again?
It's MARLEE LISS. And I always say to people, like, I'm a human, so feel free to message me. Like, if this podcast is super resonating with you, reach out to me, ask questions, share reflections. All of it is welcome.
Amazing. Marley, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. And feel free to check us out at www.divine-couples.com. And our social media page on Instagram is @divine.couples, adding intimacy, passion, and healing to your lives. Thanks again for joining us on Divine Couples. I am your host, Naomi Slater.
Join us next time to continue your journey in exploring the depths of your life force energy. Until then, this has been your host, Naomi Slater. If you have any more questions on this subject, feel free to reach out. Follow her on Instagram at divine.couples. And to see all of her offerings, visit her website at theworldwideweb.divine-couples.com.